All right, Tom, here's what everybody really wants to know, and that's the NFC playoff picture. Can the Cowboys still make the playoffs? The answer is
yes.
Yes.
Technically.
Technically.
Yeah.
All right, division leaders, the Eagles have wrapped up the NFC East at 12-2. They have clinched that division title. Vikings have clinched their division title in the North. Rams, Saints, they're at 10-4. Their respective division leaders as well. Here's where it gets interesting for the Cowboys fans. Panthers and Falcons currently hold wild card slots at 10-4 and 9-5.
Bucks didn't help them out on Monday night.
Bucks did not.
Close.
Bucks did not get the win that the Cowboys needed against the Falcons on Monday Night Football. In the hunt, 3 teams at 8-6. They are all still mathematically alive and well for now. But time is running out. Cowboys schedule. The Cowboys have the Seattle Seahawks this week, 3:25 Central Time here in Dallas. And then week 17, the Philadelphia Eagles at the Link.
Going to be very tough here for the Cowboys. First off, we're going to look through some scenarios here. Every scenario requires the Cowboys to win out. There is no longer a situation here where if the Cowboys lose a game, they can still get in. If they lose, it's over.
Very simple. Cowboys must make 2 wins.
And I think those 2 wins there, we'll come back to this here in a little bit as well here. The Cowboys, they got to find ways to win. And really, you're looking at 4 teams that you're paying attention to. The Falcons, the Lions, the Panthers, and the Saints. They're all scenarios here where they can get in. If those teams lose in the proper fashion, that the Cowboys can get in.
All right, let's go to scenario 1 here. How the Cowboys make the playoffs. They can be in the wild card via the best record for the 6th seed, and that's if they win the last 2 games. Again, Cowboys must win 2 games. They lose one of them, they are out. All right, for them to get that 6th seed outright, Cowboys win 2 games, and Atlanta loses 2 games, plus Detroit loses 1 game.
This is the easiest scenario.
Easiest
if there
route.
is easiest. Easiest here is very much in quotes because the Cowboys, there are still scenarios with the Panthers and the Saints and whatnot, but if the Falcons can lose their next 2 games, which is, I think, possible. They have a tough schedule with the Saints and the Panthers coming up. What actually concerns me the most, Brett, is Detroit and their easy schedule the rest of the way, including a Packers team that is not going to have Aaron Rodgers.
Yep, Packers are out of it, so the Packers won't be playing for anything in Week 17, and that helps out the Lions. I mean, the Lions, Bengals, right, this week? Bengals and the Packers. Lions are looking pretty good to make the playoffs still. They could get to that 10-6 mark fairly easily. Let's go to scenario number 2. Cowboys can be in via a tiebreaker over Carolina based on the conference win percentage. All right, how does that work out? Cowboys win 2 games, of course. That's always and always. Carolina loses their last 2 games, plus Detroit loses 1 game.
The issue with this scenario, and this is going to be the issue for the next one, you still need Detroit to find a way to lose a game. The Panthers are at home against the Bucks this week. I have a tough time seeing Carolina getting upset. So in this scenario there, it's not likely. There is a chance here you're just seeing an upset in the Falcons at home against the Panthers, finding a way to win the game. So you're not necessarily cheering here for the Panthers or Falcons or Saints quite yet. You're going to wait and see what happens with the Falcons-Saints game in particular. And then you're going to try and make a decision, okay, who are we cheering for this week?
All right, scenario number 3. Cowboys can get in via tiebreaker over New Orleans.
It's a very similar scenario there. The Saints lose their next 2 games. The issue is for the Saints that they do play the Falcons, that one is going to be at home. They nearly beat Atlanta on the road. Then they go on the road and face the Bucks.
We'll get into all of these teams and their schedules once again after these scenarios. There are 2 more scenarios in which the Cowboys make the playoffs. Scenario number 4. Cowboys are in via a tiebreaker over both New Orleans and Carolina. So Cowboys win 2 games. Both New Orleans and Carolina lose their last 2 games. This would also have the Detroit Lions as the 5th seed.
Yeah, this is a very complicated one because it requires the Panthers and Saints to both lose out. This is the we don't care what happens to Detroit scenario, which is helpful, but the Saints-Panthers schedule isn't all that great. So Detroit gets the number 5 seed based on win percentage in common games against the Cowboys. And they also beat Carolina head-to-head, and New Orleans based on conference games. Dallas then gets the number 6 seed over New Orleans based on the best win percentage in conference games. And then the division tiebreaker between the Saints and Panthers was used to eliminate Carolina.
All right, scenario number 5, the last of the 5 scenarios in which the Cowboys make the playoffs, probably the least likely scenario, and that's the Cowboys actually getting the 5th seed via tiebreakers over New Orleans, Carolina, and Detroit.
Saying there's a chance.
Cowboys win 2 games. New Orleans, Carolina, and Detroit all lose 2 games.
In this super complicated scenario here,
I don't know. This one's not that complicated. It's just, I think,
the tiebreakers are so complicated.
0.1% chance of happening.
This gets them the 5 seed. The Falcons sneak in and win the NFC South. Dallas wins the tiebreaker over New Orleans based on best win percentage in conference games. And then the tiebreaker was used to initially eliminate Carolina as well. This is, and Detroit is, of course, out of the playoffs altogether. New Orleans gets in over Carolina because of head-to-head win percentage.
All right, those are 5 scenarios in which the Cowboys make the playoffs. Let's look at the teams that the Cowboys are up against when it comes down to it. Let's start with the Panthers and the Saints. Both teams sitting there at 10-4. The only way they come into play for the Cowboys is if both or either lose their last 2 games, because the best the Cowboys can do is get to 10-6. And so the Panthers or Saints would have to lose 2 games to get to 10-6. Panthers have the Bucks. Panthers have the Falcons. Saints have the Falcons, and Saints have the Bucks. Very simple. They play the NFC South.
See, this is actually what concerns me and is the end. Is we just saw the Bucks not be able to pull it out against the Falcons. I think you would agree with me. Panthers and Saints are better teams.
Yeah, I think the Panthers and Saints are in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I agree. And I don't think this is where the Cowboys fans are going to pay the most attention. It's definitely worth monitoring here. Maybe if something screwy happens with like the Falcons beat the Saints, maybe then you have to really, really cheer for the Bucks. But I think in general, you're in the end, Cowboys fans are cheering for the Panthers and the Saints because the more likely outcome is that the Falcons come up short, and then we'll get to Detroit as well.
Let's take a look at the Falcons and Detroit. Falcons at 9-5. The Lions at 7-6. Falcons have the Saints and the Panthers, so that's where the Cowboys still have their path. The path really still goes through Atlanta because Atlanta has a tough road to sow these last 2 games. But if Atlanta gets one of them, which is easily possible, they've beaten plenty of good teams this year. They've got the Carolina game at home as well. The Falcons would be in if they're sitting there at 10-6 because the Falcons beat the Cowboys.
What concerns me the most here about Detroit is where they currently sit. They play the Packers this week. The Packers are going to be without Aaron Rodgers. That does not set up well for them.
Lions are actually 8-6.
Yes.
We haven't updated that graphic accurately. We'll get that one pushed. Bengals and Packers for the Lions. Cowboys must get 1 loss from the Lions if the Cowboys can get in over the Lions.
So
because the Lions would hold a tiebreaker over the Cowboys.
Falcons and the Lions are the 2 key areas here for the Dallas Cowboys. You need Detroit to get upset at some point because, yeah, they're going on the road against the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are not a good football team right now. It looks like they've kind of quit at times here. And then with the Green Bay Packers, no Aaron Rodgers. Even though it's a home game, I'm not feeling super confident about that.
Those are your playoff scenarios. Cowboys still have a chance. It's still literally a 3 to 5% chance if you're looking at it mathematically. It's a tough one, but hey, if you're a Cowboys fan, first things first, Cowboys must win this weekend.